they said, ask for volunteers to go to Bikini in the Marshall Islands for the atomic bomb test. 2 of them, one air and one water. Went back to Pearl Harbor again. From there we went into the Marshalls and set up for the atomic bomb.
10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
We were the second closest ship in when the bombs went off. So we sat there and we watched both atomic bombs go off. One in airdrop, we was in contact with the plane because we was next closest to the water, to the target. And we was 10 miles from the target. That don't sound like, it sounds like a long ways, but on open water, nothing between you is real close. The plane, we saw it come in. It made 3 passes. We was in direct contact with me. We heard a clock saying tick tock, tick tock. And he made 2 passes, and on the 3rd pass, he hollered bombs away. And we all just went, but they let us go outside and give us glasses, and we got to watch it. And when it went off, it was so hot. I got some pictures to show you there. It was raining, actually raining, because it was drawing, the heat was drawing the moisture out of the air. And it was a huge thing. And I know I grabbed my arm because it was, when it first went off, it flashed. And I was black-headed then. And every one of us that's black-headed, we got a silver streak through our hair, radioactive. My name is Russell L. Mathuss. I served in the United States Navy from June of 45 to September of 47. At that time, I was living in Manchester, Georgia, which is about 120 miles south of here. It's 5 miles from where Roosevelt died, Warm Springs. I do recall it very vividly. It seemed like I was probably just had graduated from grammar school into high school. And of course everybody was wanting to be military on it. Later on, when I was a junior in high school, they come around passing what they call the AC, Air Cadet Test. Well, at that time I wanted to take it because I wanted to go in the Air Force. And I went to the principal, and he said, Mathuss, he says, you haven't had physics yet. You're supposed to have physics in order to take the test. He says, I know what you want to do. You just want to get out of school for 4 hours. I said, well, yeah, that's true too. He did excuse me. I did get out of school, and I taken the test. It was tri-county, three counties involved in it. And out of the 3 counties, I was one of the 3 that actually passed the test on the Air Cadet. And I was a big man on campus there when it came back that I'd passed. About 3 days later, I got a letter from them saying I was underage, which I got 18 and reapply. So that killed that out. So then when I graduated in 45, I said, well, I'll go join the Navy. My mother had to sign the papers for me. She had one thing, she said, do not get a tattoo. Well, to this day, I still don't have a tattoo. Being a little Georgia boy, they sent me about as far as they could. They sent me to San Diego to take my boots. And I take my boots on it, and I got to come home for 7 days and had to go back. I was going to be in the medical corps. At that time, I thought I was going to be a doctor. I was in my mind of being a doctor, so I got into the medical corps. Well, when I got back from leave, I suppose we went to Balboa Park there in San Diego for my training. Well, the class had already been filled when I got back, and they said, we're not going to hold you in 6 months with the war on. See, the war was still going on at that time. We said, we're not going to hold you to, it says we're going to assign you to a ship and you can get what they call OJT training on the ship. So I had no choice. I got assigned to the USS Walk, DD 723, which was a destroyer. It was in dry dock there at San Diego. It just had come back from the Far East and had the little minor repairs they was having to do on it, touch it up and everything. And then I went aboard on a Wednesday, and then Thursday morning they had me over the side painting a water line. on the ship. I didn't even know what a water line was. This is in dry dock, you see. And I didn't even know what a water line was. And I found out real quick I didn't want to be no sailor on a deckhand. And so the chief pharmacist mate, he saw my record on it, and he come tell me and said, "You still interested in being in the medical corps?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, I'll see what I can do for you." And he wanted me. But the allowance was only a chief and a third class. He wasn't allowed anybody else on the ship allowance. So I worked on the deckhand there, I reckon, for about 3 days. And then he come to me, he says, "I got a job for you in supply." He said, "They need a disbursing clerk, a pay clerk over in supply." He says, "The supply officers agreed that I work for him, and then when I need you, he'd let me come over and work for me." I said, "Okay, it's all right with me." So I went to work as a storekeeper dispersing is what it was classified as, SKD. And I learned to give shots. They give me an orange and a syringe, and I learned to give shots by shooting the orange with a needle. And he taught me a good bit as being the chief, because he was wanting to hold me as what he could. So every time I had to give shots on the ship, I was called. Me and the third class give most of the shots on the ship. We went into Pearl Harbor, and we stayed there for a little while, refueled and restocked up and everything, and we headed for the equator. I was assigned to the 5th Fleet. We operated on and up and above the equator, and we was on what they call Okinawa picket line. Anything that was coming out of Japan, it was our job to stop them. I was assigned to the 20 millimeters, twin 20s. On it, I was right after the stack on the port side, and I was firing one day there, and it had a Mark 4 sight. I don't know if you know what a Mark 4 sight is. It's a floating sight, and you had two on the handlebar. You had a grip on a trigger grip on one, and one was for the sight. When you wheeled it around, if you didn't freeze it, your sight would float around when you didn't have no sight to shoot with. Well, my right hand froze up on me. I won't say I was scared, but something happened. My hand just froze. I could not release my hand. I was just throwing up every 4th bullet was a tracer on it. And when my hand froze, I melted both barrels on those twin 20s. They take me off the twin 20s. They said, "No, you're not going to be on the gunner no more." Don't know why, but anyway, they decided to take me off, and they put me in damage control, which was down below decks. I don't have claustrophobia, but I didn't like damage control. I told them, I said, "If something's going to get me, I want to see it. I don't want to be down here and hear the boom, boom, and bang." They had Japanese suicide planes, and in fact, one of our destroyers got hit one, dove into the bridge, killed the captain, the Zek, and 9 signalmen. And we want to make sure that didn't happen to us, so anything started, we'd throw fire up, you see. At least we never did try to pick out a plane. We just tried to throw them up enough stuff they couldn't come through. We was relieved to a certain extent, because if we had made the invasion in Japan, we'd have lost a lot of men on both sides, not just our side, but we would have lost, the Japanese would have lost more troops than we did, because we'd overpowered them. It was because MacArthur had seen to that effect, you see. Truman had a big decision to make at that time. Roosevelt kept Truman in the dark. I don't know. I'm not political part. I'm not trying to talk politics. Don't misunderstand me. I'm just stating facts as I've read in the book. And when Truman got to be president, he was, you might say, ignorant to the world being going on, because he was not. Roosevelt never brought him in on anything. He just stood there, president of the Senate, and that's about the extent he did. Actually, he knew nothing about any of the Lend-Lease, anything that was going on. And so he had a big role. He had a hard decision to make, but everybody was with him when he made the decision to drop both bombs on it, because it saved us. If we'd had to go in, there's no telling how many people we'd have lost. So everybody else in the service then, they thought Truman made the right decision. At the time, see, I'm only 17, 18. it wouldn't seem to bother us too much, you see. You know how it is. We're invincible. He can't hurt us. The old salts, they was the one that worried more so than we did. We just thought, in fact, we enjoyed shooting as far as that's concerned. We had a good crew. I had a picture of a crew on it, and you could ask anybody in the squadron, which was the meanest ship in the squadron, they'd tell us we stuck together like glue. And if one boy got in trouble, he had friends. All got to do is, hey, so and so, and they was right there to help us on it. We wore neckerchiefs. That's a little offhand. Silk neckerchief on the dress blues. We'd take pennies and put them in the back of that neckerchief. You could take that neckerchief like this, and then it was a good thing because them pennies is hard. We could take a Marine down in a hurry. We would fight. We was a fighting ship, but we wouldn't fight each other. We was very cohesive together. But don't let one of the other guys off one of the other ships bother with us, that's for sure. Like I said, we was operating up and above and below the equator. I got a lot of pictures on the equator when I crossed the equator for the first time. So they had a massive fleet out there on it. And so most of the big boys, the carriers and battle wagons and all and cruisers, they went into Tokyo Bay. Well, that flooded Tokyo Bay, or Japan. So we, the little boys, went into Sydney, Australia, which was a lot better. The Battle of the Coral Sea kept Australia from talking Japanese. And if you wore navy blue in Australia, you could walk on water. It was really good. If I had to live anywhere outside the States, I'd head for Australia. It was just that good. I don't know how it is now, but it was good at that time. Everybody was real nice to you. Duty like that, you don't stay very long. They pulled us out and took 3 destroyers, and we went up Brisbane, which is 15 miles up a river from Sydney. And most of the guys, they just went ape when we got in Sydney. The war was over and everything. And they was on restriction. There was just a few of us that wasn't on restriction. And they told us that those who wasn't on restriction got to go to a tea party. Well, you know how that would sound to a sailor going to a tea party. But we were alongside the dock instead of swinging on an anchor out in the bay. We were alongside the dock, and they herded us like a bunch of cattle from the ship onto the buses. Well, it was the trams, really, what they call trams, to carry us down to the city hall. The weakest thing they had there was White Horse Ale. There wasn't no tea there. And if it was one girl, it was 15-to-1 girls and all of us sailor boys. Everybody had a big time. Well, like I said, we stayed there 3 days. Good duty don't last long. Yes, sir, I came home. I was lucky my parents was living, and I came home, and like I said, I wasn't married then, and the girl I met in high school was still single, so we got back together, and wound up marrying her. And but as far as fanfare, it wasn't any big deal, no parades or nothing like that for us. I fly my flag. In fact, I just taken it down for the other day there when we had it, you see, on Labor Day I flew it. I fly the flag faithfully. I am a member of the American Legion. I've been on it for a long time. I never did join the Veterans of Foreign Wars. Well, to me it's everything. If necessary, at my age, if necessary, I'd do what I could yet. If they call me, I'd do what I could. I'm an accountant by profession. I have a dual degree, accounting and management, and they could probably use me as something. I know when I was at San Diego, I saw old Chief. He had stripes all the way up his arm. They'd call him back in it, and I'd be like him. If necessary, but I'm still willing to go. I'm still a little bug in me. I'm a hawk. I'm hawkish. I'll admit I'm hawkish, and I'd go if I had to.